Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and as we do for every single content drop in Hearthstone, we're gonna take a look today at what the worst performing cards are from the latest mini set, Heroes of StarCraft. There's no point looking at the good cards. We already know that Terran and Zerg are dominating the meta, so yes, I'm expecting to see a lot of Protoss on this list, but it's just always fun to take a look at what cards are not doing as well, why that could be, what could end up being buffed, because a lot of times cards that appear on this list end up getting buffed in the future, so I thought I would do that. I also want to announce our giveaway winner for that $60 Kerrigan portrait. They have been contacted. If I don't hear back from them in 24 hours, I'll pick another winner. And we are expecting, that next expansion announcement in a few weeks. And yes, I will have another giveaway as we always do for that expansion. So thank you all so much for your support. And yeah, in the meantime, if you feel like I've earned your subscription, enjoy the content on the channel, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like as we are on that road to 100,000 subscribers, where I promised to shave the beard at 100K. Maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. Is that a decentivization of it? Let me know. Anyways, we're gonna sort this by Diamond through Legend. Since Heroes of StarCraft launched, typically I would use deck win rate to sort, but this time we're gonna go drawn win rate to really show the impact of the individual card per deck, because I feel like if we go deck win rate, it's just gonna be a Protoss deck, right? So we're gonna go with drawn win rate, which might be the indicator we should go with going forward anyways. But regardless, let's take a look at what the worst performing cards of Heroes of StarCraft have been so far. Starting off at number 10, we have the first Protoss card of the list, the Protoss spell for Rogue, Blink. It's 2 mana, and you draw a Protoss minion. Combo, it costs 2 less. It is in 2% of decks, so the most popular pure class card on this list. It has been played 54,000 times, and as a drawn win rate, 45.9%. That's pretty darn high for one of the worst cards on the set, right? Like, this has been a pretty strong set where, like, yeah, again, almost 46%. Like, that's pretty competitive, honestly, for a bad card at least. And it's not really bad, right? You draw out those Templar cards in particular, can be really good, but again, there's only a couple of minions to hit. And I feel like for Protoss decks, that's the thing they're lacking, is like, I feel like they could add one more minion would have really helped out. And yeah, as a result, like Templar Rogue isn't terrible, but it's also not great. And as a result, yeah, Blink's here, considering so much of this mini set is playable and good. It's pretty crazy to take a look at, but believe me, there are some stinkers on this list. And at number 9, we have the most popular card on this list, the Warp Gate. This is the Protoss location, 4 mana, 3 durability. Your next Protoss minion costs 3 less. This is an 8.1% of decks, played 440,000 times. People like playing Protoss, even if it's not doing amazingly well, and as a drawn win rate of 45.2%, which again, not the worst in the world. It's near competitive. Again, the issue I have had playing Protoss decks with, like Warp Gate is it's just not enough to use Warp Gate on, and it is slow, right? 4 mana, you do save 9 eventually, which is a lot, but it takes quite a few turns. And when every deck is so aggressive right now, or by the time it gets online, they're all infinite and gaining 1 million armor, it'd be a challenge, to kill your opponent or stay alive, right? So as a result, it's definitely one of the weaker, parts of that archetype. But again, it's not doing as horrendously bad as a lot of cards we've seen in prior lists like this. However, I'm pretty sad to see this card on here. I did rate it a 4 out of 5, and then later demoted it to an F on our tier list, and that is Grunty, the 8 mana, 3/4, neutral, legendary Murloc, Battle Cry, summon 4 random Murlocs, then shoot them at enemy minions. You pick the targets. He's in 0.4% of decks, so not even popular, I guess, because, yeah, if he's bad, you don't want to play him, right? He's bad. Only played 2,900 times, and is a drawn win rate of 44.3%. So I honestly thought he'd be way worse than this. Like, honestly, if you look at like deck win rate, it's quite a bit lower, but apparently whatever decks you're playing them in, he actually elevates a little bit. He's not as horrendously bad as you would think, because he's a bit of board recovery, right? But yeah, I just feel like he could be 7. The fact they took Cookie out before he even came out, and I didn't even know that when I reviewed him originally, so I don't think he's ever going to be a 4-star card with Cookie, but maybe a 3, you never know, right? Like of all the cards on this list, I'd probably love to see him get buffed the most, whether it's 7 mana, whether it's the Murlocs being able to go face, just something, because he's a rad Murloc, and right now he's just not doing a heck of a lot. At number 7, speaking of things that don't do a lot, lurkers in my chat don't. And then apparently this lurker isn't either. The 4 mana 2/6 Zerg Demon Hunter minion. After a friendly minion attacks, deal 1 damage to a random enemy, or 2 if your minion is a Zerg. This is in 0.3% of decks, has been played 6,100 times, and has a drawn win rate of 43.5%. This card, when it gets online, is actually pretty insane. The issue is you need to have other minions on the board, and when you have like Terran Shaman and Zerg DK, they just kind of keep you off the board. It's really difficult, and it's like only really good against like really slow decks where, yeah, Druid leaves up some stuff and then you lurker and then you murder them, right? But outside of like the Dungar Druids of the world, there's just not a lot of that. And if you need to reliably be ahead for a card to be good, it typically doesn't work out in today's game unless it's got like a, you know, a premium stats and like upside to go with it. And it really doesn't, right? 1 damage it gives just normally just doesn't feel like enough. And yeah, as a result, it has made this list. And at number 6, we have a card I thought would be good. I was underwhelmed when I initially reviewed it, and I guess my underwhelmed part was kind of right. And that is the Ultra Capacitor, the 2 mana 1/1 Starship Piece Mech Terran card for Paladin. Battlecry, gain +1/+1 for each other friendly minion, also triggers on launch. This is in 1% of decks, has been played 21,000 times, and has a drawn win rate of 42.5%. I thought Terran Paladin would be good. I was convinced Terran decks would be good, and I thought Paladin might be one of the better ones, and it's actually, look at this list, definitely one of the worst, and it's a lot of it just requires you to be ahead. Requires you to be ahead on board, and when Terran Shaman in particular is the best deck out there, they have so many like AoEs and effects to keep you off that board that a card like Ultra Capacitor really sucks as a standalone. Like this could probably be a 2/2 to start, right? Like as a 1/1, it's brutal. Even if you have 2 other minions, it doesn't even feel good to play as a 3/3. Like it's just not enough in today's game. And yeah, it also has like the anti-synergy. You get that buff and then it dies. It reverts to a 1/1 when it goes into that Starship pod. It can, again, get that benefit later, but it's just an odd one. And yeah, it really, like Terran Paladin has not worked out, as you will see. I'm surprised there's so few Protoss cards on this list. That just shows that the Protoss power level of the cards is kind of there. It's just there's not enough of it. Anyways, at number 5, we have another Zerg Demon Hunter card. They all made the list, by the way, with Mutalisk, a 4 mana 5/2. Also damages minions next to whomever this attacks and the enemy hero if a neighbor is missing. It is in 0.4% of decks. It has been played 7,300 times. I wonder if that counts in like the larva creating stuff, and has a drawn win rate of 41.9%. Anytime you need a card to do something on top of what like it says, typically it's not going to work out. This has to have rush. You have to have rush for this card to be good, because it's going to die immediately in the next turn, right? Like it's got 2 health. It's always going to die. So you need to have rush, and then you need that effect to be really good. And yeah, pushing some face damage could be nice. It can only push the face damage once though, whether it's the left or right. And it's just not enough in today's game. It's not enough to really be valid unless you're Mark playing like Lorthamar and Wild for a YouTube video. Yeah, it is not doing very well. Alongside one of the cards that can give it rush, the Creep Tumor, effectively an aura that basically gives your Zerg minions +1 attack and rush, and it lasts 3 turns. It is in 0.5% of decks, has been played 8,300 times, and has a drawn win rate of 41.6%. So yeah, when the whole archetype isn't working, and one of your big enablers, right, Creep Tumor, it's supposed to enable a lot of those synergies. The Lurker, can attack and then push 2 damage. Mutalisk can attack and push a bunch of damage. And Creep Tumor like enables all that. And it's like just the draw and win rate's bad. Like it's not impactful enough that, yeah, basically Zerg DH is kind of a lost cause as it is. Like they'd have to buff like 2 of these cards probably to even have a chance. And yeah, I don't know if they want to be doing that. We'll see how Zerg DH evolves over time, but so far, yeah, with 3 of their, well, all of their cards on this list, not a great look, but they're not the only class with 3 of their cards on this list. And no, we're not going Protoss again. Next, we're going with Paladin. All 3 Paladin cards are on this list. At number 3, we have Hellion, the 4 mana 4/4 mech. Your other minions have +1 attack, so this is terrible. But if you transformed, if you've launched a starship this game, and then you get the Hellbat or whatever, right? Everything is rush +2 attack. I was convinced this was really good. I give it like a 4 or 5 because I'm like, Hellmaster Shaw, but better. But again, how long ago is Hellmaster Shaw good? I keep getting trapped by that stuff. It is at 1% of decks. It has been played 14,000 times and is a draw and win rate of 41.4%. And we're seeing a pattern here of these cards that require the board to be good, not being good enough, right? Unless that deck is so good, so sticky and dominant, it's basically a lost cause, right? Unless it works. And yeah, right now, Hellbat in like on paper, great card, but when you don't have the board enough with Paladin, when you're getting wiped by like almost everything, it's not strong enough. There's just not enough for Paladin to stick on board, and as a result, that Hellbat just can't really be utilized enough. And well, let's go with number 2, the final Paladin card on the list with Salvage the Bunker. The Terran spell here, summon 2/2 Marines with Taunt. Your next starship launch costs 1 less. It is in 1% of decks, has been played 23,000 times, and has a drawn win rate of 41.1%. And I'll just note, like the Warrior and Shaman, discounting your starship things are proactive 1 mana spells, where this is a 3 mana, triple the cost, and you're not getting a great thing with it, right? 2 2/2s in today's game for 3 mana, really mediocre. And there's not a ton of synergies out of it, outside of like Raynor being able to buff it with like the hero power. Like there's not a lot going for this card. And yeah, it's just probably could be 2 mana. Honestly, in today's game, it probably could be 2. And then it would probably feel a lot better. But yeah, as a result, the card is one of the worst performing cards of the mini set. But number 1 by a mile. Like it's not even close. This card is spectacularly worse than everything else in this mini set, and it is a Protoss card, the Druid Minion, the Immortal, 7 mana, 5/8 mech. It has Taunt and Divine Shield, Battle Cry. Spend 4 mana to double this minion's stats. This is in 0.2% of decks, played 3,900 times, and is a drawn win rate of 35.7%. And yes, if we did sort this whole thing by deck win rate, it would still be worse by a lot. Like this card is just bad, right? You can't play a 7 mana 5/8 Taunt with Divine Shield. You just can't do that. And to double up on this, you need to spend what, 11 mana or discount this, and that's a lot of work just to double something that's going to get hard removed by like a million things in the game. Like 1 big taunt, just we know that doesn't matter in Hearthstone. You need way more than that. And the whole Protoss Druid package is like 2 really big minions that just don't really do a lot. And that archetype is the worst of this entire mini set with like Terran Paladin and all that. So yeah, the Immortal, I guess, is the Immortal in terms of how bad it is. I don't know. But I'll be curious to see if any of these cards get buffed. Let me know if there's any cards you're surprised that didn't make this list. And yeah, there's not as much Protoss as you would think, because again, I feel like Protoss cards in a vacuum are pretty darn strong. There's just, compared to like Zerg and Terran, there's not enough for it to really click compared to the others. And it's also slower compared to the other stuff, which is pretty nuts at the moment. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.